Hello and welcome to this edition of the Black Knight Sports Report. I'm Jack Pinkley. Alongside with me is Cole Sutton. And the big news in sports this week, the NFL playoffs are headed to the divisional round as only 8 teams remain in the fight for the Super Bowl. In the wild card on the NFC side, the Dallas Cowboys beat out the Detroit Lions, and the Carolina Panthers beat out the Arizona Cardinals to advance. And the Carolina's victory set up a matchup against defending Super Bowl champion and best team in the NFC record-wise, the Seattle Seahawks at Seattle. Seattle always is good on a home field advantage. Their stadium is filled with yelling, screaming fans, and they've broken the Guinness record sometimes for loudest outdoor stadium noise. And Cole, do you think Carolina can come in there and pull out this victory?
I don't think they can. I think that Seattle's defense is going to be dominant. I think that the rushing attack for Seattle, Marshawn Lynch is going to take over, and I think the dynamic play-making ability of Russell Wilson is going to be too much for the Seattle defense to handle, even though, like you said, they have a great defense. They have one of the best front sevens in the league with Luke Kuechly, the defending player of the year, on the defensive side of the ball. But I still don't think that they get this job done because of the atmosphere, because of Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, and the playmaking secondary. Even though Carolina has a great rushing attack, I don't think it's going to be enough.
Well, I think that when it actually gets down to the game and they actually start playing, maybe about midway through the first quarter, the stadium won't matter at all. I think the players are just going to start focusing on this as do-or-die situation. Carolina has to win this game. And when Carolina has to win the game, as they showed in Week 17 against the Falcons and last week against the Arizona Cardinals, when they have to win the game, they can win the game. Behind that front seven defensively and a brand-new Cam Newton, who ever since that car wreck's been playing so relaxed, and he knows the game is just to have fun. And when your quarterback's relaxed and having fun, your entire offense is clicking, having fun, playing the game. Kelvin Benjamin has emerged as one of the best receivers, rookie-wise. D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, they're good at sharing. They've been sharing touches since 2010, so they know what is expected of them. And Cam Newton, I just think that they're going to tear up the Seattle defense, which is not even close to where it was last year.
Yeah, like you said, lost a couple pieces with that Seattle defense, but they're still one of the best defenses in the NFC and maybe even the entire league. They have a decent rushing attack, but their secondary is where they shine with Chancellor, Thomas, and of course Richard Sherman. Like you said, Kelvin Benjamin's one of the better receivers, but I think if you shut him down, kind of like Russell Wilson on the offensive side, Russell Wilson doesn't even have that big rookie receiver or that big receiver in general to throw the ball to. I mean, if you shut down that passing attack from Seattle, the only big threat you have is Marshawn Lynch and, like I said, Russell Wilson. But I think that the Seattle defense is better than the Carolina defense, secondary-wise, playing the pass, and I think that'll help them huge. That'll be a huge help to them, and they'll be able to shut down Newton, Stewart, and even Williams.
Well, like I said before, Carolina's front seven, one of the best front sevens in the NFL. So without a big receiver and that Carolina secondary, which is also one of the better secondaries there is in the NFL and the NFC, that's going to force Seattle to run the football. Marshawn Lynch, he's had a great season, but if you compare it to the seasons he's had, his season last year even, it's been a down season for him. So when Marshawn Lynch is running straight at Luke Kuechly or anyone else on that front seven, I just think he's going to get shut down, and then Russell Wilson's going to have to try and force passes. And when you get a quarterback to force passes with the Carolina secondary, there's going to be a lot more interceptions, a lot more turnovers, no third downs, and it just doesn't seem that Seattle really, in my opinion, has a chance to win this game against Carolina.
I think even though you made that point earlier that the stadium will get shut out, that stadium is one of the better stadiums in the league to play in if you're the Seattle Seahawks. They have that, like you said, that broke the Guinness World Record like 2 or 3 times. The Chiefs came in and took it from one time. They took it back. But I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I don't think it's going to be a 40-30 game. I think it's going to be a 20 to maybe even a 21-14 game because of the 2 great defenses we have. It's going to be a defensive battle.
And what we've seen from Seattle so far this season is when they're locked in a defensive battle, when their offense is locked in a battle against the other team's defense, they can't perform. And then it's up to their defense, and even if you have the best defense in the NFL, they're going to give up points. Cam Newton's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He's almost made it to be an elite quarterback. He notched his first playoff win last week at Arizona. And not to knock Arizona, Ryan Lindley, but still, Carolina's defense held them to 78 total yards. That is the lowest of all time in any playoff game. So the Carolina Panthers defense obviously has enough accolades to prove themselves worthy to play in this team. And then you've got Cam Newton. Cam Newton can run. He doesn't run as much anymore since he transitioned his game. But at Auburn, he was great at running. He's a great passer. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards 3 times in 4 years. So when you can run and pass as a quarterback, that's just a threat that Seattle's defense won't be able to handle.
And I think the same thing goes, though, for Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson still can run. Russell Wilson can throw as well. He's not a great pocket passer. Russell Wilson still runs a little bit more than Newton. Newton tends to stay in the pocket even though he can make plays with his feet. And I think that same point that you made is going to be the same thing at the other end of the ball for Carolina. I think Carolina's going to have a tough time shutting down Russell Wilson. And like you said, Carolina has a great rushing attack, but I think Marshawn Lynch is just better than those running backs, and I think he's going to show it with a breakout performance.
Well, with Russell Wilson, with Cam Newton, when he can run and pass, he can run because Seattle, their run defense is down from last year. They don't have the best run defense in the NFL. They still got a great run defense, but when you're going for a blitz and then the quarterback rolls around, runs the outside, that's tough for any team to stop. And then he can pass. He's got Kelvin Benjamin. Best tight end in the NFL this year was Greg Olsen for Carolina. He's a big part of their offense. Tight end is probably one of the better positions that you need to be good at if you're going to run and pass. And then with Seattle, they don't have any receivers. He can't throw the ball up and expect somebody to catch it. Mm-hmm. And if he runs, he's running into that front seven. And that front seven is great at stopping the run. So that almost eliminates Russell Wilson. He's still going to have, I'm sure he's going to have a good game. He's a great quarterback. But his special plays where he runs and he can just toss it up, last year with Percy Harvin and all that, those days are gone. They're going to have to have set plays where the receivers are going to get open by themselves. He's not just going to be able to throw the ball up and hope that somebody's going to catch it down. And if he runs, there's a chance he's going to get hurt, and you don't want your starting quarterback hurt in a playoff game. And then Marshawn Lynch is going to be the key factor for Seattle if they want to win. If he can get past that front seven into that secondary is not good at tackling running backs whatsoever. So if he can get into that secondary, then Seattle could pull away with a win, but I don't even see him getting to the secondary. I could see him maybe averaging 3 yards a rush this game. And then when we talk about the other game, Dallas, Tony Romo got his first playoff win of his career. That's a big moment for him. They're working with their big three. DeMarco Murray just broke Emmitt Smith's record for most rushing yards in a season, a Cowboys record. Dez Bryant, most receptions in a season, breaking Michael Irvin's record. And Tony Romo, he's had one of the better years that he's had in a long time. And they came into that Lions game talking about the Lions' defense, one of the better defenses in the league. And no one thought they were going to win, and they came in. They were down by about 20, I think, and they came back and won. And now they're going up against the Green Bay Packers, who were considered the best team in the NFL and the favorite to win the NFC before Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Rodgers is hurt. Rodgers is back. He's going to play with a torn calf. Do you see Green Bay winning this game?
I see Green Bay winning this game because I know Aaron Rodgers is going to play. Aaron Rodgers, even with that injury, he's a warrior. He's going to play, and he's going to try and lead that team to another high spot in the playoffs and even to the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. I would take Aaron Rodgers hurt over a lot of the mediocre quarterbacks that are 100% healthy in this league because Aaron Rodgers can get the job done, and he knows what it takes to get the job done. And like you said, Dallas has a great receiver in Dez Bryant, but Green Bay also has great receivers in Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. But the thing is, with the Green Bay running game, they have Eddie Lacy, but they don't have that breakout runner like DeMarco Murray. But I still think all that comes back on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders, and I think that with his performance, we don't know how he's going to perform with that calf. If a backup comes in, it's going to hurt Green Bay, obviously, but I think Green Bay gets this game, gets this win because Aaron Rodgers is going to play, and he's going to play well if he can.
Well, Aaron Rodgers can make any team good, no matter if he's hurt or if he's healthy. Yet when you're talking about the NFL playoffs, and you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, he's been the star of the Green Bay Packers. He sat out last week. He's been one of the better quarterbacks, but he's got a torn calf, and I just think he's going to try and do too much. And when you try to do too much in the NFL, you're going to fail. So then if they don't want him to try too hard, they're going to have to hand the ball off. And they don't have the strong running game. They got Starks. Starks hasn't been good since they won the Super Bowl. Eddie Lacy, can have his games, but never really performs on the big stage. And then you go over to their defense. Their defense is lackluster at best. a good linebacking core, really, but the safeties are pretty good, and then you got those corners. The corners have struggled this year. Sam Shields hasn't been performing as high as a level as he can. So then, who do you stick on Dez Bryant when there? Because no matter who you stick on Dez Bryant, we saw it throughout the entire season. You stick anybody on Dez Bryant's going to beat him. Tony Romo's going to throw a touchdown, and the Cowboys are going to win. They've won all season. And then DeMarco Murray, when they need to run the clock out, they need to move the ball, they can just hand it off to DeMarco Murray. He's had the best season of his career. He stayed healthy. He's got the hand injury that he will play with. That could become a factor. But I think the biggest factor of this game is the Cowboys' defense. Barry Church is going to have to perform on Cobb and Nelson if they break away from their corners. Bruce Carter is going to have to play amazing at linebacker. And if Dallas's front seven can control this game, Dallas wins this game easily.
And I disagree with that. I think that it's going to be, again, I think this game might be a little more high scoring than the other game we have because these two offenses they're firing at will. Dallas, even with Dallas, if you don't want to give Dez Bryant the ball, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if he's covered, and you have DeMarco Murray out of the backfield running checkdowns, you can still throw the ball to Murray and you have him in the open field. But like you said, the Green Bay linebacking core is the power of this offense. Or this defense, my apologies. And I think if Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers and those players that can get out there and help perform, it's going to be tough for Dallas's offense to get anything going, even though they have one of the better offenses in the league.
Well, Dallas's offense, they can get it going against anybody. They played the best defenses in the NFL throughout the season, and they came out with a great record, best record they've had in years. So Dallas's offense is going to play well. I think Dallas's offense, I'd say, would still score 24 points on Green Bay. Green Bay's offense, I'm not so sure they're going to score above 10. With a hurt Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to be able to move around, and moving around is a big part of his game. He can always get out of the pocket quickly, and if he gets out of the pocket, he's even more dangerous than when he's in the pocket. But he's going to have to stay in the pocket. He's a torn calf. He's not going to be able to move around. Eddie Lacy is not an elite running back like DeMarco Murray. Eddie Lacy won't be able to take this game into his own hands and win this football game for Green Bay. So when you come into an NFC divisional playoff game with a struggling offense where your signal caller, your MVP of the team all year is hurt, there's just no way you're going to be able to pull out this victory against a Dallas Cowboys team that's just playing out of their mind right now.
And like you said, Aaron Rodgers is athletic. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league. And being in that pocket is going to hurt him. And Dallas, we all know Dallas is going to take shots at Aaron Rodgers because they know they're going to do anything that's possible to win this game. So I think the Packers don't have a horrible offensive line. I mean, their offensive line is decent. It's not one of the worst in the NFL. I think if they can protect Rodgers can play well out of the pocket or in the pocket. I mean, if he's going to have to move around at some point. He can't stay in the pocket all day. But when he moves and when he stays in the pocket, if he does perform, if Lacy or Starks, if either one of those can get going, Cobb, Nelson, split out wide in the receiver position, Aaron Rodgers' offense is great. He has a great offense, but like you said, I mean, if Rodgers gets hurt, like if he re-injures his calf and a backup has to come in, Matt Flynn has to come in, it's going to be rough, and I think Dallas wins it easily, but I don't think Rodgers is going to allow that to happen. I mean, obviously there's some stuff you can't control, but I think if he has the choice to go in or to stay out on the bench, he's going to go in and he's going to affect the game greatly.
So you've got Packers-Seahawks NFC Championship game.
Yes.
Who wins that game?
I think that the Seahawks will win that game, even though if the Packers can advance, it would give Aaron Rodgers more time. I still think Seattle wins that game because I think Seattle is the better team in the NFC.
All right. And coming up after this quick commercial break, we'll be talking about the AFC divisional games between the Colts and Broncos and Patriots-Ravens.
That's what you get at Qdoba Mexican Grill. With only the freshest ingredients. Mixed for the perfect taste. Come try something new today at Qdoba Mexican Grill in Farmington.
Mineral Area College. Your next step. Enroll today at mineralarea.edu.
Zestier, cheesier, and always something new packed with fresh ingredients. And don't forget the wings for only 50 cents on Sundays and Mondays. CC's Pizza in Farmington. We'll see you there.
There's a magical land between the latitudes of 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south, where the amazing Arabica beans grow. The mountainous regions between the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, where rich soil means rich coffee, where lush tropical climate means smooth aromatic flavor, and where passionate farmers means flavor we can all be passionate about. When Mother Nature meets the human touch, we're able to bring great tasting coffee to the exact longitude and latitude of you.
Welcome back. The AFC playoffs are a bit more interesting as we start off with the Colts, who defeated the Bengals, pretty heavily last week. They're going up against Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Peyton Manning is playing his old team in the NFL playoffs at Denver. Who do you see winning this one?
I see Denver coming away with this victory, and not only because of the home field advantage, I believe that it's the fact that Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterbacks in the league and in the history of the league. Even though he's had struggles in the playoffs, like last year in the Super Bowl against Seattle, that obviously wasn't a great game for him. They got blown out. But I think Peyton Manning, with his offensive weapons, this is going to be another game where it's going to be all offense. Andrew Luck on the offensive side with Indianapolis, and then Manning, obviously, with Denver, Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas. It's going to be a great game to watch. I'm excited to watch it. Peyton Manning's going to have that little fire in his stomach going against his old team, and I think that's going to show, and I think they're going to go on to play the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
Well, you see, when you talk about Peyton Manning, the first thing I think of is age. He's getting really old up there, and that's going to heavily affect how important he's going to be in this playoff game. And then you think about the running game, because even if they have Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, every NFL team needs a running game. Neither of these teams have a running game. C.J. Anderson, Monte Ball's been hurt all season. C.J. Anderson, he hasn't really been able to step up into that. Trent Richardson, he's been a disappointment for Indianapolis since they traded a first-round pick to get him from Cleveland. So really, I'm thinking if Anderson can play, or if Trent Richardson can play, whoever can have the better game, that's who wins this football game. Because Andrew Luck, in my mind, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, as of right now, exact same thing. And Andrew Luck hasn't been impressive in the playoffs. We can all say that. He's thrown almost 10 interceptions in 4 games. Peyton Manning, he won a Super Bowl in 2005 with the Colts. Last year, he got dominated in the Super Bowl. He did not have a good game at all. So Andrew Luck, he's coming to this game. He still needs to prove himself. He's a 3-year pro. He's never won a playoff game. I don't know. He won one playoff game last year against Kansas City. So if he can win this football game, which I believe he will, because he can throw all over that aging Broncos secondary, then the Colts win this game easily.
Like you said, or bringing up a new topic, the defense is not a big factor in this game. It's a big factor, but the defense is not the biggest or better side on either of these two teams, and neither is their running game. I agree with your statement completely. Any team that has a better rushing performance will win this game. And I think it's going to be Denver, because I think Denver, even just the fact that they have those 3 weapons, that high-powered offense, maybe gives you that, like when they go into play action, you're gonna think, oh, okay, well, they're obviously throwing, and maybe they'll throw deep, use the play action pass, or they can run the football. And the Indianapolis Colts defense is going to be expecting a lot of pass plays, obviously, because it's Denver, that's their offense. But if they can, on those certain type of plays, if they can use that, like a third down short, third down mid play, if they can use that rushing attack and it works well, and it doesn't have to be an 80, 90-yard run. If he's just stacking yards over the game and it works, they stick with it and also have that offense in their back pocket. It's going to be hard to stop, but Indianapolis is a great team. That's how they got there.
Well, DeQuell Jackson is going to lead. They are going to be preparing for the pass. They've got a great secondary. their linebackers won't need to worry about a pass. So they'll be able to blitz 5-6 guys every single play. DeQuell Jackson, one of the better linebackers in the AFC, he's going to be blitzing a weak Broncos offensive line, which they've shown that they're not the greatest all year long, and getting to Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning, he's 38 years old. He can't take hits like he used to be able to take hits. It's as simple as that. So if the Colts can get to the quarterback, game over, Broncos lose.
I see even if the Colts get to the quarterback and, Peyton Manning's a little bit rattled, Peyton Manning is still Peyton Manning. He knows what he needs to do to get that job done, and he knows how to get it done. He has the one thing that he has over Andrew Luck is experience. Andrew Luck, though, is also a little bit younger. He can be more mobile than Manning. Obviously, Manning's a pocket passer. But I think Manning's old man kind of senses are going to kick in, and he's going to do what he needs to do to get this ball game completed. And wouldn't you love to see a Seahawks-Broncos rematch in the Super Bowl? See how if Manning can get that done, put a little revenge on him. I don't see it happening, but it would be great to see. It would be a great NFL game to watch for football fans.
Well, I don't think it really matters if Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning every single week, and they did not perform as the Broncos are supposed to perform. Then you look at Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, he performed great this whole season. T.Y. Hilton, Hakeem Nicks, they've been absolutely excellent for him all year. He can throw the ball to just about anyone on his team. Coby Fleener was big for them one week. Coby Fleener's their backup tight end. He's big for them. So if Andrew Luck can't, not if he can, he will pass the ball all over the Broncos. He will lead the Colts to another playoff victory and into the AFC Championship.
And it's obviously not as big as Seattle, but the Broncos are going to have a little home field advantage here because it's obviously it's the NFL playoffs. People are going to get hyped. It's going to be a close to, if not a sold-out crowd at the Mile High Stadium. And I just don't see Peyton Manning going into the playoffs again and losing to a Colts team. I think Peyton Manning is going to have a little something special that day because, it's his old team, a chance to go contend for a Super Bowl. I think he's going to get the job done.
All right, now moving on to the other game. Patriots-Ravens. Both these quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady's won 3, hasn't won since 2005. Joe Flacco won his first one a couple years ago against the San Francisco 49ers. Joe Flacco's out to prove he's an elite quarterback. He's won 1 Super Bowl. He can win another one this year. He's not played the best statistically as all the other quarterbacks in here, but I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks. And going up against Tom Brady, he's a good quarterback. You can't deny Tom Brady. They just don't have the team. They don't have 21 other players around Tom Brady to take them to the AFC Championship game.
And first off, I have New England winning this game, but let me start off by saying Joe Flacco is – I saw this argument the other day. Joe Flacco, if you're in the playoffs right now, what quarterback would you take to lead the team out of the 8 teams left? What quarterback would you take?
Most likely Cam Newton, Tom Brady, one of those two.
I would take Joe Flacco. And, he's not an elite quarterback, like you said, 1 Super Bowl, and he's talented. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. I believe 2nd or 3rd. I think Jay Cutler is the highest. But Joe Flacco in the playoffs, he gets the job done. He knows, he can play. He's a great quarterback. And in the playoffs is where he shines. He's not above average quarterback in the regular season, but in the playoffs he turns into another person. He's a great quarterback. But I think even with the not so stellar Patriots defense, that the New England offense led by Tom Brady, who again has great experience, I think New England gets this win.
When you talk about Joe Flacco, I think 13 touchdowns, no interceptions in his last 5 playoff games.
He's a great playoff quarterback.
And then you look at New England secondary, and the only person that comes to mind, Darrelle Revis. Mm-hmm. Steve Smith, Torrey Smith. Who do you put him on?
I'd have to put him on Steve Smith because he's too explosive to not put him on. But like you said, with Torrey Smith, it's going to be a struggle.
Torrey Smith can be just as explosive as Steve Smith. When they won the Super Bowl, Torrey Smith was their key receiver. Torrey Smith caught just about every single ball Joe Flacco threw him in the playoffs. And now they have Steve Smith. So if, let's say first half, Torrey Smith lights it up, so they switch Revis over to Torrey Smith. Steve Smith Sr. is left wide open, and you cannot leave Steve Smith Sr. wide open. And then Justin Forsett, in the wake of the Ray Rice, has become one of the best running backs in the AFC. He's just ran over every defense they've thrown in front of him. He's a little guy, and he can still block better than any defense or any running back. And then the Ravens' offensive line has been great for the past 3 years. So when you got all that, Patriots' lack of defense, then it just seems like the Baltimore Ravens would be able to play all over them and outscore them and absolutely dominate the New England Patriots.
And I think a key factor for this game is going to be Rob Gronkowski, Gronk, who is the key to this New England offense. And New England, LeGarrette Blount as their running back, they don't have a strong rushing attack like Baltimore. Baltimore seems like a more complete rushing team, and they have even more receiver talent. With Julian Edelman there or Gronk, I think they're still a great team. I think Gronk is the best tight end in the NFL, maybe not statistically wise this season. He had a little rough patch in the beginning, didn't play. But I think he's the best tight end in the league, and tight end is the most important position on the offensive side because they block and they can catch. And I think if Gronk plays, if Tom Brady can get Gronk the ball, and Gronk can, get out in the open field, he's not horribly fast, he's not incredibly fast. If he breaks some tackles, gets out there, I think that's going to be trouble for even the Baltimore Ravens defense, who has a great defense.
All right, so tell me, these 8 teams, who's your Super Bowl favorite?
Super Bowl favorite, I would have to go with, this is going to seem kind of bland, but I'm going to say Seattle.
Seattle repeats?
I think Seattle repeats in the NFC, it's a little complicated. If Rodgers can play like regular Aaron Rodgers, then I believe Green Bay wins this Super Bowl. But he's not regular Aaron Rodgers. He's injured, obviously. So I think it's going to be Seattle against New England, and I think Seattle pulls out the victory again to repeat.
See, I'd have to go with Seattle's opponent, Carolina. Carolina, they're playing great football. They're getting hot at the right time. They're like the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals. They got hot at the right time. They won the World Series. Carolina's hot at the right time. Carolina's going to face Baltimore in the Super Bowl, and Carolina's going to come away with a victory. And Cam Newton's going to sell himself as an elite quarterback in the NFL.
I think that any of these 8 teams would be any matchup would be a great matchup. Just any team playing any team is going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be a great game for NFL football fans.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Join us next week. I'm Jack Pinkley, and that's Cole Sutton.